Hey all YouTubers and subscribers, this is Try. This is an update on Jim. He was released to go back to work on light duty. However, he has to take therapy, which, okay, all they're going to do is take his little ring finger. Well, this is a ring finger, okay, and they're just going to massage it like that, okay. He can do that at home, but hey, that's what the doctor ordered, okay. So I went over to St. George over there, my old factory, and his boss was there, and he stated that Jim is to go on daylight only until after his therapy is done. The instructions were written down, and for him to go on light duty. Well, she claimed she had to talk to the doctor again. Okay. Cheryl kept her mouth shut. Cheryl kept her word to her husband, okay, about them messing with the schedule. Because Jim is a diabetic, he knows that. His company doctor knows that. It seems funny that the company doctor is siding in with Jim rather than the company. Okay. So she said to wait until Monday, until after she talks to the doctor. And of course, I'm sitting here waiting for her phone call, which may never ever come until she is ready to call. So hopefully it'll be before Friday. Okay. Cheryl also played her number, 309. It's coming out, folks. I don't care what state you're living in, it's coming out. And it's quite often. 777 too will be coming out too. So, hint, hint. Alright. Also, too, there was something else. Oh, I cannot do my mother-in-law's apartment Friday because something dawned on me. I have something planned for that evening. David's going to a wedding Saturday, so I'm going to get back with him and see maybe if we can't do it during the week next week. I don't do this type of thing on Sundays unless it's really, really necessary. If it's an exorcism or something like that, But a general house cleaning, spiritual house cleaning, I feel that she can wait anyway. And also, Deb, I got your email. When she moved in there, well, I'll go back a couple years. When I took care of her for 4 months, I stayed there. And I inquired about who lived there before, what lady was put in the home. So, that's what happened with that deal. But she was getting phone calls for when I answered, I'd hear nothing but static on it. And I had this little elderly lady saying, I gotta go now. I have to go now. Alright? After I came home, the phone rang. Oh, it was like 3 times. After that, all I got was static. And the last phone, I even handed the phone to Jim, and he heard the static on it. Real bad. Real bad. So, the last phone call I got like that was, it sounded like it was coming through a very long tube. These are just some of the paranormal things that have had happen to me. A very long tube. And the voice was going, Cheryl, are you there? Cheryl, are you there? I about dropped the phone because who it was my dad. Now, whether or not it was him, I don't know, but it was definitely his voice. That was the first time I heard his voice in 25 years. So those were some of the strange things that was starting to happen over at her place that I witnessed. Okay. Other than that, the times I spent there, I didn't experience anything other than the static in the phone. They call it a name, and I forget what that name is, but it's not white noise. Okay, it's called something else. If you guys can remember what that is, I'd appreciate it if you left a comment on that, because I can't remember, right now exactly what that's called. But that was the last time that I ever received a phone call like that. And I about dropped the phone, and I was standing in the middle of my living room, and I told Jim, I said, you don't believe who that was? And he says, who? Ice is my dad. Ice is the first time in 25 years. It took me so much off guard, or I kept saying hello, hello, you know, like that. And if it would have came through faster and clearer, I think I would have said dad, you know, dad. But on the other hand, you gotta watch what you're messing with too. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it was really him. I'd really like to believe that it was. Okay, but then on the other hand, it may not have been. It may have been, you know, something on the much darker side there. But that was the last time. Or it could have been opening a portal to come through, you know. So these are how, you know, this is how these things work. So one has to be very, very careful, you know. You got to think, you know, you have to think the obvious. You got to think, you know, all around you, man, to try and make, you know, sometimes odd things happen, and you have to really think about, you know, what it is, you know, that's going on. You know, I would dearly, dearly would have loved, you know, if that would have been my dad. But then on the other hand, it could have been a portal, you know, being opened by electric. You know, the phone is electric, so it could have been that. But those were the only strange things that, you know. But I will keep you guys updated on when we do the interview, and we might end up cleaning out the apartment that same day, probably. You know, because I've talked to her in depth before. I pretty much know what's going on. Okay, I did do some research on the 3 knocks, and back again in my superstition thing. You know, Dad always told me about the 3 knocks. Okay, the 3 knocks, what I'm really thinking it might be with her. Okay, I'm not talking about you, Chris. Okay, I'm talking about her. She is 94, and I wouldn't want to dare say, Gladys, you know, these are signs, you know, your time is nearing. Which when she told me about it, and I went further in depth with her about it, that's pretty much what I'm coming up with. You know, the 3 knocks is death knocking at the door, you know. So I mentioned it to Jim, and of course you don't want to hear it, but, you know, she is 94, and, you know, and she is afraid of dying, she's afraid of death. I've never known an old person like her, you know, be so afraid of death as what this woman is. And I have my own private thoughts on as to why, you know. But anyway, I'll keep you updated on that. But as for Jim, he's doing really, really good. The doc was really pleased to see his finger healed. And I'm a healer, you know. And I'm just glad that I helped contributed to that, if I did. But he says him being a diabetic, he was really surprised to see the nail growing back in. He didn't know if the nail would grow back in normal or not, but he said it looks like it will. Okay, and so I must have been doing something right, you know. But I am a healer by faith, so I think that may help contribute to his fast recovery, because he said that normally a diabetic wouldn't heal that fast. So that's kind of a little thing there for me, so I'm happy about that. Okay, I'm running out of time, guys. This is Try 76, and it's over the hump day. Y'all take care now. You only got 2 more working days to go.